To Canadian Premier League action, we're officially into the second half of the season. Match week 15 has come and gone, and it was a great weekend for the teams from Ontario. Scoring a combined 8 goals, conceding none. York thrashing Vancouver. Ottawa getting over the hump against the Halifax Wanderers, and Forge heading their CPL record 15-match unbeaten run. And let's talk about those two teams at the top of the table, Alex. You have Ottawa right now scoring goals for fun. You have Forge, who are almost impossible to break down. The best offense, the best defense. Garris going on talking about a potential for a perfect season. He's confident that the time is right to bring that up now, while Ottawa still have that lead in the race for the CPL Shield. Who is the better team right now for you?
What a loaded question.
I'm sure this will go over well.
Yeah, the two teams that are just absolutely running away with it, 1 point off each other. Both times they played each other, they drew. For fun, I dove into their analytics before. Like, they're both almost identical in terms of XG for, XG against, like actual goals. Ottawa has the edge. Defensive metrics, Forge has the edge, but both are good in each category. Both have goalkeeper of the year candidates. Like, both have MVP candidates in the attack. Both of coaches have been excellent this year. Really, you can't pick between the two. So I'm going to go with Ottawa just because I think you look at the way they've played and there's a certain like predictability to them, but they haven't been able to have that break. There's something about that's been very impressive. Granted, with Forge is probably the better bet. And I say that just because we keep saying every week Forge hasn't hit their final form yet. The question is, do you think how high that final form is and when do you think they hit it will really pay off in that bet? But I just like the way Ottawa's been rolling at top gear since game one, how dangerous they've been. And I look at the game, I covered the game against Halifax on Friday, and it was just such a commanding, no-nonsense performance against another top team in the race. And they made Halifax look just completely powerless the way they got that early goal. And just like with Ottawa, what I'm liking is incremental growth. Like, they've had their kids in their back line for about 2 months now, and they've kept 5 clean sheets in their last 6 CPL games. 1 goal conceded, and Forge was the only team that got that off a Kyle Becker cutback. Like, Ottawa's showing a lot of depth and a lot of versatility to them, and they have guys who haven't even really gotten into the fold yet. Like, we haven't seen the best out of Abubakar Sissoko and other guys because they're so deep. They don't need them yet. So I'm going to pick Ottawa, but there's no tough choice here.
Yeah. This might come as a surprise to some. I'm going to back Atletico Ottawa as well. The most ridiculous scenario that could play out this season in the Canadian Premier League is if Forge are the Invincibles. They run the table, go undefeated on the campaign, yet they don't win the regular season. They don't come away with the Canadian Premier League Shield. That is a realistic possibility right now, because despite the record-setting form of Forge, they're still looking up at Atletico Ottawa atop the table. It's the age-old argument. What are you going to back? Are you going to back the best defensive team by numbers and metrics in the Canadian Premier League in Forge, a team that looks very comfortable being able to sit in, grind out games? They're really solid in terms of the personnel and shape. Or is it the team that just simply wants to outscore you, scoring goals for fun on a record-setting pace in the Canadian Premier League in Atletico Ottawa in terms of goals scored, over 2 goals scored per game, the best expected goals in the Canadian Premier League as well, and a team, like AGR said, have really held their own at the back, and there seems to be a lot of balance in the way that Diego Mejia wants to play, and the output has been phenomenal. They are tops, just edging forward in terms of expected goal differential in the Canadian Premier League this season as well. So I'll go with the numbers. I'll go by the eye test as well. Atletico Ottawa, I think they have the ability to take it to teams a little bit more than Forge at this point. And I'm a progressive guy. I'll back the team that wants to play on the front foot right now, a really good attacking side in Atletico Ottawa.
Look, the CPL is only 7 years old. I don't know that we've ever seen a single season turnaround quite like this, from a team that played negative football, afraid to lose, to literally you can't outscore us and we're going to run it absolutely down your throats. And they've been so much fun to watch. And let's not forget, boys, Either of those two teams could win the Canadian Championship still. Doubles could be on, treble. No one says it's a non-zero chance. Whitecaps should win the Canadian Championship, but both Forge and Ottawa will feel like they're in with the Sharks.
Don't you think, Adam, like there's at least one move to be made by Atletico Ottawa? They let go, I believe it was Iker Moreno, left the club. I think they have an international player spot available. If they can bring in another really key contributor to this team, I think it makes them even better. I think there'll be a counteraction from Forge. I don't think that they're done. I think they might want to add some depth, potentially at a number 9. So we'll see what moves. And maybe it's just in terms of who's the healthiest or who is the most depth or who hits the best form at the end of the season, because they're nose and nose. It's like AGR is right. It's tough to pick one. We do our best on this show, and we both like Ottawa right now. What about you, Adam? Who do you like? What do you think from your vantage point?
I still don't think it's just these two teams. I think Halifax, I'm still thinking Halifax is like the slim outsider shot. I don't know. I watch Cavalry, and as we get to this time of year, I'm like, if they can find ways not to lose, which Forge has been so good at for years, and start to take over some matches, they get Antigone back into the team. I don't know. I don't think this is a 2-horse race for the title.
York?
And ironically, what's that, York? No, I'm not sold yet. I love what they're doing, but I think it would also be a mistake for the supporters and for the media to get too excited and put the pressure on this very young group that hasn't really proven they can do it sustainably yet. But I'm really liking Mario Eustachio's project right now. There's no doubt about that. So let's talk Cavalry then. As I just mentioned, maybe they can throw their hats back in the ring for the CPL Shield race. They're in third now thanks to their victory over Valor. It took a Sergio Camargo goal at the death. There was some drama with substitutes potentially showing up their coaches and then forgetting to play defense until the final whistle. Antonoglu was in the penalty area of the other side of the pitch when he should have been defending Camargo. Crazy scenes in Winnipeg on a tough day weather-wise for both teams, but Cavalry take their points and they go third. Someone who didn't score, Gareth, and you guys pointed it out on match night, is Tobias Warshevsky. It's 7 now in a row for a player that Tommy Wheeldon Jr. has called an artist. We know he's a maverick. He's all over the pitch. He finds positions to make himself available and effective, but he's not scoring goals. Are you concerned yet with the German forwards, I guess, regression from the Golden Boot lead? But maybe it's Cavs season, and this is when he won the Golden Boot last year. The
artist formerly known as goal scorer, Tobias Warshevsky,
yes.
What we're talking about here. I kid. I'm not worried. It's 7 games in a row in the Canadian Premier League and 8 overall in all competitions. Of course, he came on as a substitute in the Canadian Championship tie. Ended up missing a penalty in that game as well, which isn't vintage or trademark Tobias whatsoever. Look, Cavalry as a team has been struggling to score goals. This isn't just a Warshevsky thing. They're still creating chances. Ali Musi fits into that category as well. He's missed back-to-back games. He's missed gilt-edged chances as well. So I think it's just one of those things with Cavalry. We see it over the course of a season. They hit a period of time where you're like, are they just stuck in second gear? Like, where's this team going? And then pundits and fans are like, oh, maybe Cavalry doesn't have it this year. They're just at the midway point of their season. And we showed it on the broadcast yesterday. They average over the last 2 seasons, or they picked up a total of 38 points over the last 2 seasons in the first half of the season. In the second half of the season, combined 28 games played, they've won 20 of them. They picked up 65 points. They're a second half club. It's like Tommy Wheeldon Jr. has this Canadian Premier League puzzle figured out. It's like, okay, figure things out, just maintain, don't give too much. And then that sprint to the finish, no one is better. It happens year in, year out. They're bringing back Gaute and Tigne, which I think they're missing that dynamic player down the left-hand side. They attack so much down the right, Adam. There's just this complete imbalance. And when were they best last year? They brought in Jay Herdman, who was really hit a purple patch, and they had balance in the team. They're still looking to get that, and maybe Gaute can be the answer here. So I'm not worried about Tobias. I'm not worried about Cavalry. This is exactly what they do every year. And watch, in the run into the season, 14 games, I'll probably score 6 or 7 goals and go into the playoffs on really good form and go on and help Cavalry make a playoff run once again.
And Alex, this is an important stretch for them too, including Sunday's match at Princess Auto Stadium. They obviously get Valor again in about 8 days. They have York, they have Pacific. So those are clubs who are outside of that top 4. Suddenly, they take all 12 points from that. They get some goals from their big dogs, and the conversation shifts again, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, I think they're in a good position, right? Like Tommy Wilden Jr. said, like their 3 wins it is ahead of where they were at this stage last year. They always finish the year stronger. They're still on pace for 50 points as it stands. Like that's if Ottawa and Forge weren't having such outrageous seasons, that figure would stand out in the sense that 50 is usually you're pushing. I know there was years where 53 I think won the Shield. Like 50 is not bad at all. With Warshevsky, I think it's just, the Cavalry isn't quite clicking yet. And I think that's, if this is what they look like when they're not quite all clicking, when the attack's kind of slumping, again, you just think of the potential. Balance is the big one. I like that shout. One thing I look at is, for example, Fraser Aird. Yesterday, he gets his first assist of the season. At this stage last year, I swear he had 4 or 5. Yeah. Him and Ali Musi
1,000 crosses complete.
He was excellent last year, and he's been good this year. But him and Ali Musi haven't connected in the same way, or they did. Now Gauthier Digny can come and bring something that they just haven't got on the left side. No matter they've put Walling, they've put Gerasimenkov, they've tried different things, and they quite haven't found that balance there on the left side. The midfield, like they haven't had their first choice midfield because every time they have something close to it, someone gets hurt. It was Gutierrez at the start, and then it was Baldissimo gets hurt, and right was those two are starting to come back. Shamit Shome picks up a knock, which you hope isn't serious. Like for Cavalry, there's a lot of reason for them to hit that second half form they're used to, and really showing what they're compared about. But like you look at it, the schedule's a big one, and they also have a game in hand on everyone. That can count for a lot, and considering it's against a Valor team they've absolutely destroyed over the last few years, there's no other way to put it with the head-to-head record. I think they'll be a lot closer in the race, and by the end of match day, or like the third round, as you call it, Adam, I think they'll be right in the mix with Ottawa and Forge.
I want to say too quickly, and we'll move on to York United in a moment, something that I don't know that Cavalry get the same amount of credit for as Forge do when we've been comparing them for 6.5 seasons now. The ability to plug in place depth players into this group and not change the way they play is very underrated. Max Peepgrass, I think, was one of the best players on the field last night. And as Alex mentioned, Shome picks up a knock. Guti's not 100%. Baldissimo is just starting to train. This young kid from Calgary is really showing that he's understanding what they're trying to do. And I think they deserve a little extra praise for that because I thought Peepgrass was very bright last night. York United. Okay, let's talk about them next, and let's talk about them for good reason. Mario Eustachio has this group now undefeated in their last 5 matches with 3 wins over that span. They are just 3 points back of the Halifax Wanderers, and as I had just alluded to, they will see Cavalry this weekend. If they win that game, suddenly they are just 1 point back of third, depending on what the Wanderers are able to do at home to Forge. This is an interesting team, a team that could not hang on to victories at the beginning of the season. You wonder if they didn't let some of those slip away in the first 5-6 matches of the year, if they're even an outside chance for the CPL Shield. But it seems, Alex, like this playoff race is done. And it's obviously not, but they have that buffer on Pacific. 9 points, 3 whole games, and then it's 13 on both Valor and Vancouver in 7th and 8th right now. So no longer should we just be saying, are York the 5th best team in the CPL? Do we start to ask the question, can they push for a 3rd, a 4th? What's the ceiling on this group that's in a great run of form right now?
Yeah, well, I've really liked York since game 1. They've kind of flown under the radar, and I think, to be fair, it was their own doing because they couldn't hold on to a lead, but they have a fun, exciting model, the way their wingbacks play, of course, their front 3, just as fluid as anyone. There's a lot of similarities there between an Atletico Ottawa and York, funnily enough, for them being rivals. It's just Ottawa has been a bit more clinical, a bit more ruthless, but stylistically, I'm talking, of course, York has been just as fun to watch, but Of course, they had to get their issues sorted, and to their credit, they've kept plugging away. What I've liked with Mauro Eustáquio, at no point there's been any panic of, oh, let's switch to a back four, let's switch the model. The model's been the same, and he's kind of pushed the players to step up. And what I've also liked is they've got a bit of swagger about them. I think we're going to have to start calling them the bad boys of the CPL. I'm sure they'll love it, because every game they play, it's 4 to 5 yellow cards, guys in faces, guys arguing for calls. Everyone, I think 7 out of the 8 other teams in the league have called them out for some sort of antics or embellishment or something of the sort. And they embrace that. Every game they come in and they want to be tough to play against. They want to be annoying, and that's starting to crack and starting to rattle some of the other teams the way they play. So I'm a fan of York, and what I've liked is they've got depth. Like the way they add a Sean Hundal, plug him in immediately. All of a sudden, that front line looks a little deeper already. When you got Shola Jimo in a depth role, Massimo Ferrin, Adonijah Reed all battling. Gabby Batar's on the bench, and he's coming off scoring braces. That midfield battle, the way Kembo Kabato's stepped up, and Elijah Adekugbe, Luka Achitola, what a fierce battle for minutes at wingback. Max Ferrari hasn't even been starting, with how good Boteo and Ferrazzo have been. The center backs, like, they've got a good balanced team. So I think York, their ceiling could absolutely be pushed for third. It'll just be about keeping that consistency and showing that what they've done over the last stretch, where they can actually hold on to these leads they get. That's been the big difference.
I was going to say 3 or 4 games earlier this season, they scored first and ended up losing the game. I mean, they should be on a higher point total than they are right now. I'm fully buying York United. Adam, you mentioned undefeated in their last 5, 3 wins. The 2 draws came up against Ottawa and Forge, where they caused problems for both of those teams. So in terms of like stocks up, stocks down, I'm buying York. I'm selling Halifax. I think it's a matter of time before York United jumps over Halifax. They look a more complete team, a more dynamic team. They have depth. The central midfield was an area I thought was going to be a concern, but Cabato, you mentioned, like Stephen Yates goes out through injury. They don't skip a beat. They can afford to take Elijah Adekugbe out of the team and rest and rotate. I mean, I still think they might need one more defender in order to solidify things. That might be their kryptonite. But yeah, this team, stylistically, they are great to watch. And they're a really tough team to play against week in, week out. So I like the bad boys of the Canadian Premier League. I like that moniker. But this team right now is all good. Like, honestly, they're vibing right now. They're moving the right direction. No doubt they're one of the 5 teams that are making the play. We know the 5 teams that are going to make the playoffs. Yeah. Now it's about playoff seeding and trying to better where they ended up last season.
All right, we got a jet. Before we go, this is just coming to me. Either of you think if Mauro Eustáquio gets these guys into third and is competitive, he gets some Coach of the Year love?
It's hard to take it away from Diego Mejia, though. I mean, come on.
It sure is.
It's
nomination.
How
come on,
he is
totally get some love.
Like York was good last year under Bahimi Mora, but like Atletico Ottawa were dire the way they ended up the season, and to see the turnaround and the way that they play and how successful it's been, this is Diego Mejia's to lose. Let's be honest 100%. About that.
It is.
Yeah, I don't think there's any denying that he's the runaway favorite right now. But there's 3 nominations. Eustáquio, he's doing a great job in York.
Yeah.
Been great to see. All right, speaking of great to see, CPL on TSN this weekend. The match we just mentioned, Cavalry and York United from Spruce Meadows at Field on Saturday. CPL on TSN presented by OneSoccer. OneSoccer Direct. We'll be back tomorrow. Thanks for joining us.